Okay, class, I screwed up last time. You're not going to see that video because I'm not going to show it to you, but I made a mistake because I questioned myself. And it turns out I was right, and I don't know why I questioned myself, which ruined the take. So since I already wrote this, I'll just talk about this. So here we go. For number one, this says graph the solution of the inequality this. The way you do this is, remember, you just look at solving that inequality, which is right there. Ignoring the right side of the compound inequality. So you add 8 to both sides, and you get 12, which is here. And then the other one, you add 8 to both sides because we're going to ignore now this side. And we add 8 there, right here. So we look at this, and we know that we have to add 8 to both sides, and that gives us this over here. Okay. All right. So we got this 12 less than 3x from here. We got this right here to be from there. So now we have this inequality to solve. So what do? We divide by 3. Notice I'm doing it to all 3 sides, just like we added 8 to all 3 sides of the compound inequality. Again, this is the newest thing, so I can understand you might be a little bit verklempt about it. So 12 divided by 3 is 4. 24 divided by 3 is 8, and so that's the solution of that compound inequality. And here's the graph. Notice the open circle at 4, which is that boundary point, open circle at 8, which is that boundary point, and we shade between the two. The next one is it's going back to Unit 1. The first 2 terms of a sequence are 8 and 20. Give the next term in the sequence and explain your answer if the sequence is arithmetic. Arithmetic sequences mean you add the same thing each time. So arithmetic is add the same thing. Geometric is multiply by the same thing each time. Okay? So we have 8 and 20. By looking at this, I saw that to go from 8 to 20, we had to add 12. And so that means to go from 20 to the next term, we have to add 12 again. And that's where 32 comes from, 20 plus 12. So the next term in the sequence is 32 because we are adding 12 each time. That is the answer for A. Okay. For B, geometric, we are multiplying by the same number. So the way you do this is you take the two numbers, 8 and 20, which they gave us here, and we write them as a ratio. Notice I put the one on the right on top of the one on the left, 20 over 8. That's the number we have to multiply by each time to go from one term to the next, if it's a geometric sequence. So 20 over 8 is 5 over 2 because 4 goes into 20 5 times, 4 goes into 8 2 times. So we have to multiply by 5 halves each time. So I took, again, I did this all before. So I took the 20, that was the second term, and I multiplied it by the 5 halves. Okay, that's supposed to be a 2. All right, 20 times 5 over 2. 2 goes into 20 10 times. 5 times 10 is 50. That's supposed to be a 50. So that's where this third term comes from. A little bit trickier. And the reasoning, because it says explain, that's, you'll lose half the points if you don't explain how you got it. You can get the right answer, but if you don't explain it, then you're going to lose some points. It's 50 because we multiplied by 5 halves each time. Okay? Now, the next one, number 3, the equation G equals 60 minus 20H represents the number of golf balls, G, remaining for a group at Topgolf after hitting golf balls for H hours. So this is a word problem. It's a scenario. I rewrote the expression here, or the equation here, so because it's kind of written on up there. I didn't want to mess with it. So there's the expression. And they ask you, what is the rate in golf balls per hour? Well, the rate is always going to be the thing multiplying the variable, in this case, H. So the rate is not 20H, it is 20. All right, you could say I'll accept 20 or negative 20, because negative 20 just means you're decreasing the number of golf balls. But really, since they want the rate at which the golf balls are hit, it's just 20. How many golf balls did this group start with? Well, when they started, the number of hours they did was 0, so everything is 0 except for the 60. And that's B. All right, that's question 3. Question 4 is where I got hung up, because they want to know which of the following linear relationships does not have an x-intercept of -1, which means which one of these does not have as a solution -1, 0. Well, I saw that, let me just kill this. Okay. I saw that B was obviously wrong because it literally has a point. The line physically goes through 1, 0, -1, 0. This right here was when I was working out the ugly one part. I would say save this for last. Okay? Because it's a little bit ugly. We're going to have to use the point slope form. So I did the easy one, this, right here. First, they gave us a graph. I looked. It doesn't pass through -1, 0. It does not. It does pass through because they do not. They want which one does not have. So that one doesn't work. A line going through the point -4, -2. Well, I used the grid provided. Put a little dot there, right here. Okay, that's -4, -2. And I counted because the slope is 2/3. I go up 1, 2 to the right, 1, 2, 3, and you look, it does have a y-x-intercept of -1. So that one's out of the question. And then the last one is I used the grid again. They said -5x minus 5. So I used this point right here, and then I counted. I would go down 5, but I can't because it's on the edge of the grid. So I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And to the left one, that puts me right there. It has an x-intercept of -1. So by process of elimination, the only correct choice that does not have an x-intercept of -1 is A. Now let me show you how you could have done it by using, this is where I got hung up, all right? Because I was thinking the line had to contain the point -1, 0 for some strange reason. So I'm going to use the point slope form. You're going to be given an equation sheet that contains these point slope, which is, it's going to be y equals m. We're going to have to figure out what the slope is from the table. Well, let's see. You could see this that we add 4 to y while we add 3 to x. So the slope is 4/3, rise over run. So we can write 4/3. Then I'm going to use the point 1, 2, x minus 1 plus 2. Now, you can plug in -1 and see if you get the number, if you get 0 out. And right here, you can see if you plug in -1 for x. So that's -1. That's -1 minus 1. That's -2. And that's -8/3. When you add 2 to it, it does not give you 0. So the process of elimination, you got to it quicker, but you could have actually written the equation and seen that this equation does not have a x-intercept of -1. So the correct choice is A. I'm going to pause this at after 10, since there's 20 questions. All right, I'll do part A and part B. Okay, number 5, the Schwinn family eats 32 ounces of rice every 4 days. After a trip to Costco, the family has 15 pounds, 240 ounces of rice. How many days will they have, after how many days will they have 5 pounds of rice remaining? Well, the way you want to do this is first figure out the rate in ounces per day that they eat rice. And the way you do that is you take your 32 divided by 4 days, and that's going to be 8 ounces per day. Okay? So once we know that, we could just start multiplying by, they want to know after how many days will they have 5 pounds remaining. So you could say 8 ounces per day, and they started with 240 ounces. And we know that they eat 8 ounces per day, so we divide it by 8. And, actually, we got to be careful because they said, well, after how many days will they have 5 pounds left? So that means they don't want to consume 240 pounds. They want to consume 235. This is how I would do it. I subtracted out the 5 pounds that still remain. So they ate 235 pounds. It covers, it was 8 ounces per day. So 235 divided by 8, which is going to be a decimal, is, 235 divided by 8 is 29.4. Okay, it came out a decimal. So you would say after 30 days, because I would accept 29.4. I'm just going to say I'm going to accept that. But you notice this is the amount of rice consumed. I had to subtract out the 5 pounds. Ew. Wow, this is a couple things. I'm sorry. So it has 15 pounds, which is 240 ounces. So you got to figure out how many ounces per pound. So you take 240, and that's 240 ounces, and that equals 15 pounds. So if you divide 240 by 15, that will give you the number of ounces per pound. And that comes out to be 16, which I remember now. So that's 16 ounces per pound. This is a little bit trickier than I thought. So how many days will there be 5 pounds? Well, you have to go 5 times 16. And that's 80 ounces. So 5 pounds equals 80 ounces. All right, so this idea of this 235 is wrong because that was ounces and pounds being subtracted. All right, so we have to take the 240 minus 80. So it'll be 240 minus 80. Okay, and so this is 160 ounces divided by 8 ounces per day. So divide that 160 by 8, and that's 20. In 20 days, they'll have 5 pounds. Again, what I did is I figured out if it's 32 ounces every 4 days, I divide 32 by 4 to get my ounce. This is the key step to get my ounces per day. So this was the key step right here, coming up with that. Once I got that, I had to take the 240, and then they said how much would be 5 pounds remaining. I had to figure out that there were 16 ounces per pound by taking 240 divided by 15 to give me the ounces per pound. And that told me that there were 80 ounces in 5 pounds. So once I figured out how many ounces 5 pounds was, I subtracted that number of ounces from the 240, which left us with 160. And then I divided it by our rate, which is in ounces per day. Okay. And 160 divided by 8 is 20, and that's 20 days. Woo, that was a tricky question. 5 was tricky. A movie theater made $180 from ticket sales. The graph shows the possible combinations of student tickets and adult tickets that could have been purchased to make that profit. Write an equation in standard form that represents this line. Notice it says in standard form. Okay? So you look at your equation sheet, you know standard form is AX plus BY equals C. Well, let's look at this. We got 2 points, easily recognizable. We got 0, 12 there, and 15, 0 there. So we can find the slope, because remember, slope M equals change in y, which is 0 minus 12, over the change in x, which is 15, minus 0, which is negative 12 fifteenths. 3 goes into both, and it works out to be negative 4 fifths, reduced. All right? They want it in standard form. We found the slope, so we could write this equation as y equals negative 4 fifths x plus 12. Now what we're going to need to do is multiply both sides by 5, and we get 5y equals negative 4x plus 60. Add 4x to get the x and y on the same side, and you'll end up with 4x plus 5y equals 60. And that's the equation in standard form. You can check it real quick. You know that if you're looking for the x-intercept, the y is 0, and 60 divided by 4 is 15, and that's there. Likewise, you know the y-intercept, when x is 0, 5y equals 60, y equals 12, and that's exactly what that says. So that is the equation. How much is a student ticket? All right, the student tickets are x. Student tickets are, this is the $5. How much is an adult ticket? All right, so the adult tickets are the y, and for what, oh, I'm sorry, the student tickets is not 5, it's 4, because it's ARG. The student ticket is 4. Yes, it is. It's the X. The adult tickets, which is Y, is $5. Because it's the number, oh, not Y, just 5, because that's the number in front of Y, the number of adult tickets. Okay? So that one you got to be careful with. Again, once you come up with this equation, and that should have been pretty straightforward. When they say how much is a student ticket, you just got to remember which, is it X or Y? That's student tickets. Well, it's X. So what's the number in front of X? It's 4. So it's $4 each. How much is an adult ticket? Well, the adult tickets are Y. The number in front is 5, so it's $5. Okay. So next, on 7. What time is it? Because class is going to start in about 8 minutes. So I'm probably going to have to stop this before 10. So this one's actually pretty straightforward because they tell you this expression, 2n plus 7b minus 4c equals 20. Notice that's exactly what this is. And they multiply it by 3. So this right here is 3 times 20. And now subtract 10. 3 times 20 is 60 minus 10. It is 50. That's easy. You just have to think about it. Question 8. I think this is going to have to be the last one, and then I'll just finish this off after the bell. I think, because it's 10:23 now. Lauren is 140 feet below ground level on a spelunking adventure in a cave. She climbs 16 feet toward the surface every minute. So her rate, which is M, is 16, and it's positive feet per minute because she's going up. Write an expression for Lauren's elevation. So her elevation, E for elevation, is going to equal 140 feet below ground level, that's negative 140, plus 16 and X. And maybe I'll just make that Y, where Y is the elevation. Okay. Lauren wants to know when she will have less than 50 feet to climb. So she wants to know when this expression is less than 50 or negative 50. So this would be negative 140 plus 16. Remember, we're below ground level, so that's why that's negatives there. All right, less than 50 feet, that'd be less than negative 50. Solving this, that's 16x. Solving this, add 140. You get 16x less than 90. You add 140. Yeah, that's, you subtract 50 from 140, that's 90. Divide 90 by 16. Which is going to be a fraction. Uh, 90. So it's 45 eighths. I reduce it. So it's 45 eighths minutes. Which works out to be 45 divided by 8. I mean, if you want to write as a decimal, 45 divided, 0 divided by 8. Oh, come on, James, your fat fingers. It is 5.625 minutes. Okay, and that was 8. I'm going to stop here because actually, no one's popped their head in, so I might be able to do 9. So 9, write an equality to describe each scenario. Be sure to specify what your variables represent. Based on past experience, Ashley knows she can expect to make at least $75, no less than $75. She can make equal to it, so that kind of tells you that her pay in tips is going to be greater than or equal to 75 and up to 125. The way I read that, up to includes it. So there you go. T is between those two numbers. A person must be at least 52 inches tall. So at least means must be greater than tall to ride the Thunderbolt roller coaster. So that'll be that. So you can write this as T is greater than or equal to 52. Oh, I can get this done, and then I can actually get done with the first 10 like I planned. Okay, Kai can mow from 2 to 7 lawns in 1 week. He earns a minimum of $20 and a maximum of $45 for mowing a lawn. Let X represent the amount of money that Kai earns in dollars for 1 week of mowing, okay? Write an inequality to describe the possible values of X. Well, he can, if he earns a minimum of $20, so that could be 2 times 20 is 40, right? So the minimum amount of money is $40 because the minimum number of lawns he will do is 2, so that'll be 40. And a maximum of $45. Well, the maximum is the most he could possibly earn. So we'll take the most number of lawns that he could do. So it'll be 7 times 45. and that's 350. So it could be this. I much prefer to earn a 315 in a week than 40, but there you go. And I'll stop here because the class is going to begin.